Check that out. 4:30 in the morning as I film this. Man, I've been up since 2:30 this morning, actually, working on video work, and it's crazy to think that yesterday I was up on a ladder, and we have this massive job going on right now. So any chance that I can, I'm trying to film videos because I'm really enjoying sharing these stories that I have been with you. And today's story is more of the same, and also, unfortunately, another just really screwed up situation that you may have not heard about. This is actually coming out of my state, the state of Virginia, and this happened sometime last week, I believe, when this incident actually occurred. A house fire where two people would end up losing their lives. A story like this hits especially close to home for me personally because it was just 2 weeks ago on my street, one of my neighbor's homes burnt down to the ground, and in that fire, somebody also lost their life as well too. It was two elderly women who lived in that home as well, the house fire that took place in my neighborhood on my street. One of the women lost their life. The other one was seriously injured. But like I said, this story that I want to share with you, I believe took place late last week. And here's a post coming from a Facebook group that I follow that says, Arson, homicide victims and suspect identified. And when I ran across this, I had no idea that that's what this actually would be. A case of arson where somebody purposely set this fire where two elderly women would lose their lives. Chesterfield police are investigating a homicide and arson that occurred early Saturday morning at a home in the 500 block of Rosegill Road around 4:20 in the morning. Ironically, that's what time I'm filming this video at. Chesterfield Fire and EMS crews responded to a reported fire alarm at a residence. When firefighters arrived, they found flames showing from the exterior of the home and requested additional resources. Two women were located inside the residence, rescued by firefighters, and transported to area hospitals where they later died from their injuries. The victims have been identified as 75-year-old Evelyn Newman and 78-year-old Hazel Johnson. Both of Chesterfield police say the two were sisters. Following a joint investigation by Chesterfield Fire Marshal's Office and Chesterfield Police, the fire was determined to have been intentionally set. With assistance from Henrico Police, investigators arrested 25-year-old Alicia Newman for intentionally setting the fire to an occupied dwelling. She is currently being held without bond at the Chesterfield County Jail. Police say Newman, who does not have a permanent address, is the granddaughter of Evelyn Newman, 25 years old, and you have absolutely thrown your life away, setting a house fire that would kill your grandmother and her sister? Police say additional charges are anticipated. I don't know what it is with people wanting to set shit on fire, arsonists, people who have that pyrotechnic, that pyromaniac type of way about themselves. I'm reminded of when I was in the jail prior to going to prison to serve my 7-year prison sentence. I will never forget my first cellmate in the jail when I was first getting arrested. I don't remember his name. He was a bigger guy, and he was absolutely batshit crazy. And he, too, was locked up for an arson charge. I think he tried to burn down his ex-girlfriend's home or something like that. To be housed in a cell with a guy that you just know is absolutely crazy. I mean, this guy was on so much medication. He was taking a lot of Seroquel. They were giving him like 100 milligrams of Seroquel a day. Yeah, dude was a basket case. And I guess you have to be if you're locked up for doing something like that, setting a home on fire, knowing that there are people inside of that home. If this fire that killed these two elderly women took place in the middle of the night, well, clearly this suspect, went over to the house late at night with a gas can or some shit? You know, this is premeditated murder, is what you're going to end up getting charged with. Like they said, police say additional charges are anticipated. If you drove over there with a gas can in your car, that is a premeditated murder charge you're going to end up with. Hey, I didn't intentionally plan to kill anybody. Well, 2 people lost their life because of what you did. You're going to get you an M1. What could have caused a situation like this to take place? Here's a picture of this suspect in question. Does she look crazy? Yeah. I wonder what her time in the jail is going to be like. You know, the guy that I was locked up with, I was somewhat terrified of. It's hard to sleep in a cell with a guy that you know is crazy, who did something like that. You kind of got to sleep with one eye open. It was a very uncomfortable time in my incarceration. For a person like this who did something similar, but 2 people lost their lives, man, I would hope that your time is the worst. And the sad thing about this is as I share more about this 25-year-old woman was no stranger to crazy shit. And she also had kids. So, you know, not only did you take away your children's grandparents, great-grandparents, or at least one great-grandparent, well, now they've lost their mother as well because of this. Criminal complaints show Chesterfield house fire victim, alleged perpetrator disagreed over asset distribution. What? Did you set this fire because you were written out of the will? According to an arrest warrant and criminal complaint, the news now knows why Chesterfield police say they charged a 25-year-old woman with intentionally setting her own family's house on fire. Alicia Newman is being held at the Chesterfield County Jail without bond for arson after a Saturday morning house fire on Rosegill Road. Alicia's grandmother and great aunt were living there, Evelyn Newman and Hazel Johnson, and they both died as a result. According to investigators, Evelyn said her will not gift Alicia the Rosegill Road home. Then Alicia allegedly set it on fire. If I can't have it, then nobody will. According to the criminal complaint, fire marshals found 2 smoke detectors inside the home disconnected from the ceiling with their batteries removed. Oh, you didn't just ride over to the house with a gas can. You disconnected the fire alarms. That's almost like cutting the phone lines type stuff right there. A fire accelerant was also found outside Evelyn's door where she and Johnson were critically injured and subsequently died at the hospital. What kind of accelerant are we talking about? Does it even matter? It does not. Early that morning, home security company Vivient received an alarm notice from Rosegill Road. When the company called the home, however, a female on the other line said all was okay and would not give her information. Did Alicia Newman stay in the home after setting the fire long enough for the security company to call the home and for her to receive that call and say, nope, all is good here all the while? Flames are rising. Smoke is billowing. Imagine this scene. And again, all because of what? You're not in the will anymore? I'm guessing at some point you were in the will, feeling like you were going to be gifted that home. What would happen that would lead to you being written out of the will? Who in turn was to receive the home? Are they safe? It's kind of a crazy scenario. I mean, this is like some Dateline type of stuff. The complaint goes on to say that security video shows a car leaving Newman and Johnson's home around 2:37 a.m. on Saturday. Eventually, Alicia's vehicle was found going through the Midlothian Turnpike and Roanoke Street intersection in Richmond at 2:58 a.m., consistent with the time it would have taken to drive between both locations. Court records show Alicia and her 4 kids, all gonna grow up without a mother now, had been living at the home from time to time, and the new information has neighbors shaken. Though none wanted to talk on camera, they say it's a sad situation with horrific details as they cannot wave and say hello to the victims like they had been doing for years prior. I also want to share a news video that I ran across in relation to this that paints even more of a picture into this woman, Alicia Newman, and some other charges that she was actually out on bond for.
The suspect is the granddaughter of one of the victims and had her first court appearance today. Our Tyler Lane explains what we've learned so far.
25-year-old Alicia Newman made her first court appearance by video at the Chesterfield courthouse on Monday. She remains held at the jail as there was no decision made regarding bond. She's charged with arson and is accused of intentionally setting this house on Rosegill Road on fire over the weekend. Police say two elderly sisters, Hazel Johnson and Evelyn Newman, which is Alicia Newman's grandmother, were inside at the time. Both of them died. We talked to another family member who traveled from Maryland after hearing the news, who told us that Evelyn would let Alicia and her children stay at that home. However, he said Alicia was asked to leave following an argument.
Alicia's the type of woman where something like this she could easily do and not look back.
On Monday, the court appointed Alicia Newman a defense attorney. We reached out to them for a response to the allegations, and they declined to comment at this time. We're learning Newman is also actively facing criminal charges in Richmond. Court records show that she had just been arrested on October 3rd for malicious assault, child abuse, and reckless driving. Richmond police say those charges are connected to a hit and run that happened in August, but would not provide any further information. Online court records indicate Newman was out on bond following a hearing on those charges. We asked Richmond Commonwealth's attorney Colette McKeechin why, but she said she could not comment on a pending case. During Monday's arraignment, prosecutors did not comment on the case other than to remind the judge that there were two fatalities involved in this fire. The judge said it's expected that a bond hearing will be held later this week. Here at the Chesterfield Courthouse, I'm Tyler Lane for CBS 6 News.
They're anticipating that there's going to be a bond hearing in relation to these new charges that she's locked up for. This is two murder charges that you're now sitting in jail for. Not to mention you were already out on bond for some pretty serious shit as well, and your kids were in the car. What type of a role model are you for your children? Man, I oftentimes feel so bad now more than ever. You know, now that I'm a father, I've got a 2-year-old. He'll be 3 in December. And watching my son develop as a small person, because that's what he's turning into. He's a toddler going on a what do they call it? A toddler teenager. Anyways, I often think about the kids who grow up in these toxic, terrible home environments. Why do people turn out to be the way that they are? It's their upbringing. You got your kids in the car and you trying to run somebody over. Were your kids in the car when you went and set that house on fire? And what's going to be the excuse? Because that's what it's going to be. No justification, no rationale, no good explanation to this. What's going to be your excuse as to why you did this when you go up into court trying to get a bond? If you had any kind of a moral bone in your body, you wouldn't even go to a bond hearing. You would say, you know what, I'm right where I deserve to be. But nah, I imagine she's going to go to that bond hearing, fully hoping to get granted a bond. But that's not going to happen because you were already out on bond. How could you be out on bond for something heinous and you get locked up for something way worse? But the excuse is going to be, oh, I'm crazy. Emotional instability, insanity plea. You don't even need to take the peanut butter jar up in the courtroom, an old prison wives' tale. If you're hopeless in the courtroom, knowing that you don't stand a fighting chance in relation to whatever you're locked up for, just smear a little peanut butter between your ass cheeks and go up into the courtroom and dig that shit out and smear it all over your face like it's doo-doo. The judge is bound to think that you're crazy and that you do deserve an insanity plea. Do you think that this woman stands a chance at a defense argument like that? Personally, I don't. I do believe she's going to end up with a life sentence. And her children, her grandparents, her great aunt, they suffer the most in this. Obviously, the 2 women who lost their lives, but also the 4 children. Super sad situation. Definitely will be curious to follow this story. And if I learn anything more in relation to it, I'd love to be able to share that with you. Shit, I'd love to be able to try to get a jailhouse interview with this woman. But I think if I was able to do so, all I would do is just tell her that you ain't shit for what you did. Just like I imagine anybody else would say if given the opportunity to speak to this person. You know, everybody deserves a second chance. That's a saying. But not everybody does, in my opinion. I don't know if that made much sense at all. Hey, look, I just wanted to share this story with you guys. Hope you found some interest in this. There's no way that you could have enjoyed something like this. But if you did find some interest in this, please leave a like and a comment letting me know exactly what you think in relation to this story. How much time you think she's going to get? Do you think she gets an insanity plea? You have to be crazy to do something like this after all. I'll look forward to sharing more with you guys real soon. And until next time, enjoy life, the free world. Never take a moment for granted and make the most of every day. Peace.